Hey people. Um, so I wanted to make a video about a more serious topic because it's something that I have experienced and have been thinking about for a long time, and kind of as a way to assist people who are going through something similar, um, and maybe even give some information to people who are uh, less knowledgeable about this sort of thing. So yeah, and this is going to be like unscripted and well, most of my videos are unscripted, but like also with pretty much no editing, just so you can see like what I'm talking about is actually real. It's not like manufactured in any way. I do have some light notes, just to keep me on track, in case I start rambling a bunch. But yeah, this video is going to discuss mental illness. Um, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's like a warning if that is too much for you, and or if you just don't want to watch that sort of thing. Although, by the title, if you just didn't want to watch it, then you made a weird click decision. But anyway, yeah. So I guess to go into a little backstory about myself. Um, I should start off by saying that I have been in the past diagnosed with major depressive disorder and also I get general anxiety disorder. Um, um, it was not early on that I was diagnosed with those things, though, because I just didn't see anybody about them. My earliest memory with any sort of mental illness was there was a time, I think, in late elementary school. I was at home. Um, I just remember laying on the bathroom floor, um, not because I was physically ill or anything, but I just felt so like sad, and for not any specific reason, like every time I think back to this memory, um, there's not anything that I can like grab that would be like, oh, this is why I was sad this day. Um, but yeah, I was just like super sad. Like I just felt like I couldn't get up. Um, and all at the same time, um, in my head, I was telling myself, oh, this isn't real. You're doing this for attention, even though there was no one around me at that point. It it was for attention for some person who could just see everything that's happening or something. Um, so so that was fun. um, uh, but that's a pattern that will continue for a very long time. Is me telling myself that it's not real and that like I'm just trying to get attention, which I now know is not the case. um, it only took like 15 years. But yeah, so with that experience, that is the first time that I really was like, oh, there is something wrong. But then of course I was telling myself that there wasn't anything wrong. Um, and since I was telling myself that, I my choice moving on was to not do anything about it, because I just assumed that like if I was making it up, then it'll just go away at some point, even though it was something that I created. If if you haven't noticed, mental illness can be very irrational a lot of times. I almost said sometimes, but no, it's like all the time. Um, so yeah, I just didn't do anything about it. I didn't tell anybody. Um, I didn't like bring it up in any sort of capacity for many, many years. I just like kept everything inside. At least that's what I thought at the time. But as the years went on, especially like going into middle school, that is when people started to be able to see, from what people have told me, like a difference in my uh, I guess personality, character, that sort of thing. Um, like a lot less times where I was upbeat because as a really young kid, I mean, even now, I'm like a super energetic person when you're around me and I'm just having a good time. Um, but that is when that started to diminish a little bit. I still tried to keep up a facade of like everything was fine, but it was more easy for people to see through that. And um, I think a thing that does happen a lot when I'm in a rut is when, uh, like, regardless of what is going on at the moment, there will be some times that I'm just like wallowing, like, not because like, oh yay, I love feeling bad, because no one loves feeling bad. Um, but like I can think of times where I would be in like a middle school or a high school class, and um, I would just like be basically not doing anything because I just felt those so distraught, and like people would be like, "Are you okay?" And I would be like, "Yeah, I'm fine," and it's like as if there was nothing wrong, even though it would be clear that there was something wrong. That's just how I operated for a good chunk of my life. Um, so this video, um, even though I haven't actually said it in the video yet, hopefully you can tell by the title. This video is I want to use my experiences of mental illness to connect to how that can affect being a music major, because that is what I am most knowledgeable about in terms of mental illness connecting to um, aspects of life that other people might be going through. Um, um, uh, I just come from a music major standpoint because that's the major I was in, um, and yeah, if I can't speak to all of college or um, like being a bio major because I was never a bio major. So now that I've talked about my history a little bit, I want to connect it, like I said. So, um, I guess to start off, um, let's see, it's hard to do stuff unedited because then you have these moments of pauses, which happen in other videos, but I cut them out. So now you get to see me all vulnerable and everything. Um, so I started I started college as, I guess, technically a general studies major, but like with a music emphasis, because like luckily from high school, even though it took me a while to like figure out what I wanted to do, um, like right at the end of high school, I was like, oh yes, I definitely want to be a music major. Um, uh, I went to community college for a year, just because that's how things panned out, and then I actually think that that was a really good uh, decision that more people should do. Even though it wasn't the greatest situation because there was barely a music program at the community college I went to. Um, but I still think I got what I needed out of it. Um, and then I was able to transfer to a 4-year university as a music education major. My goal was to become a high school band teacher, because that's what I was interested in at the time. It's like, oh yeah, I loved band in high school, so I'm gonna like hopefully keep that I guess legacy going. um, uh, just like be able to. What I used to say is like I would share the love that I have for music with other people, like through high school band or whatever. Um, so that was my plan. I entered as a music ed major, um, and it was, well. First of all, I loved the program. I I loved being a music major. I loved most of the education part as well, the ed part of that. But what really threw a wrench in my plans was my depression, primarily. Once again, I did have the anxiety disorder, or I shouldn't say have. I do have. Currently, hasn't, I don't know. You can't hear these sort of things, so in my mind, it's still there, and yeah, it's still there. But uh, yeah, what threw a wrench was those disorders, those mental health disorders. So like I could not, even though I loved everything that I was doing, I couldn't really progress because uh, my there were just so many things that my brain was doing that hindered anything else that I could have been doing. Um, Eventually, it got to a point where it was like, okay, you basically are going to have to like spend a lot more time than you want to finish this degree. Um, if you stay with this degree, because with the education part of music ed, there are a lot more requirements, at least at the college that I went to. Um, um, so I decided to switch to a performance major. Luckily, at this was also around the time that I was starting to realize, okay, I do love teaching, but I don't think I like doing it in a classroom setting because I had some light opportunities to do that, and stuff related to that, uh, at like certain points in these years. Um, but I had always loved performing, so that's what I decided to go with. And still like go with the angle of teaching from like a private teaching perspective. So I was music performance major then. Now there was like on paper very little that would be like academically in my way because like while performance majors also have academic work, it is not as much of an emphasis as would an education major be because we have an ed major would also have to like learn how to teach a room of adolescents, teach a room of young kids, and stuff like that. Just stuff that's on the top of my head. Um, um, However, things still did not get better because I had a mental illness. So, getting into more of the specifics of that, um, I can remember a time. Oh, there goes my computer. So I guess I gotta go without the notes. No, I can just turn it back on if I need to. Um, there were times I can remember that I was living on campus, so I would, and since I was like unattended, I guess, I would literally just be in my room basically all day, only leaving to like get food, so I could survive even even though there were times. I think you get what I'm. um, so yeah, like I would miss like large ensemble rehearsals. I would miss. I would. There was a situation where I dropped out of a chamber group, um, and I would even miss lessons. And these are all things that I normally would absolutely love. Like I love. One of my favorite parts about being a musician is playing with other people. So the fact that it got so bad, that I didn't want to do that in large ensemble or chamber because I'm one of the the few young musicians who also really loves chamber music. I mean, I shouldn't say the few, but like a lot of times it seems like chamber isn't the most popular thing, but like I love it. And not only did I drop out of a chamber group, I also just was not participating in the large ensembles. which obviously caused some problems for the people who were involved in that sort of thing. Um, um, it, just in that moment, my brain just was not allowing me to do pretty much anything other than wallow. Um, and I'm sure I can say that I'm sure I lost probably a few opportunities because of that, because I became quote unquote unreliable. Um, but I think what's more important is that I wasn't doing the things that I loved. So eventually it got to a point where it was like, uh, I I actually I can't continue this because um, I'm I'm not making tangible progress. Um, Even the things that I love, I'm not I'm not like being able to succeed in because I'm just being so beaten down by this mental illness that it's just not working out. So last year, from the time that I'm recording this, um, so it'll be 2021. At the end of 2021, I decided that okay, we got to take a step back, despite what a lot of other people in my life were trying to tell me, and they were trying to tell me that from like as helpful of a perspective as they could come from. So no fault on them. It's just a thing where like only the person who's like really experiencing their life can sometimes only be the only ones who can make the most, uh, I guess, helpful decisions on their life because they know what they can and can't do. Hopefully, sometimes mental illness messes with that too. But um, yeah, so I just took a step back and was like, okay, even though I'd love to have this degree, um, it's just not in the cards right now. So I decided to just drop out from school. Um, and yeah, so I don't think I've talked much about like what I've done on this channel before because I mean honestly, part of it is like kind of some shame because uh, I am of the age that I would have a degree, maybe even two, at this point. Um, but I decided not to complete it because even though in my head I know that that was a good decision, um, there's still some like social pressure, like, oh no, this is the wrong thing. I should have finished the degree. Um, but I can say, and I meant to say this at the beginning of the video so no one would be worried. I think right now I'm actually in like the best place that I have been in my life. Like this whole year, 2022. It's been really good. I think taking that step back was like a really good decision. Um, um, and it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to like not do what people are pushing you to do, even if it is something you want to do. If you feel like it's not going to be successful, then you don't have to do it. Um, yeah, I this has been a year of me, um, one, enjoying things a lot more, which is probably the most important part, but also experimenting with stuff. I just knocked down my water bottle. Experimenting with stuff. That's why this channel even exists, because I had time and mental capacity and motivation to do it. Um, and hopefully it has made, I don't know, a few people laugh, for those who have been around, uh, or even like just teach somebody something like, oh, I didn't know opus made reeds, or I didn't know clarinet and oboe were different instruments. Like the very first joke I made on this channel. Uh, yeah, and just other stuff that I've been able to do in this time. Even even though a lot of the time the narrative is that like if you don't get a degree, you're not going to be successful. I've Success is very hard to measure, but like I feel like what I have been able to accomplish this year has been very successful for me. Um, Maybe it's not what success looks like for somebody else, but um, it is it's definitely it's definitely positive in my perspective. Um, and yeah, I really wanted to make this video because at the time of recording, September, so many people have already started college or maybe about to start college or their semester. I mean, um, so like if this can like help anyone who may be going through or about to go through a very similar situation, maybe I don't know. I Other than making people laugh, like one of the things I love doing is helping people. So that's really all I'm trying to do. And see, okay, I got my brain just now because I mean I guess I'm going to say it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I almost felt the need to say I'm not doing this video for attention. um, I mean I'm not. Dang it, the brain wins again. But yeah, I really do want to help people, give people's perspective, maybe some advice, and yeah, whenever if anyone in the comments like wants to ask any questions, I'm not a professional mental health expert or anything, so I can only do shares things that like helped me. But if people want to have some sort of discussion in the comments, then feel free. Um, and then also I'm open to talking about this, like any of the streams that I have when I'm just making reads, because I am at I luckily am at a place where I feel like I can more comfortably talk about this, um, and like I said, anything to help people. So I have to go to work soon. So I guess this is going to be the end of the video. Thanks for listening if you got this far. And I hope all is well with you. I don't know why I did this, but I did it anyway. Here, like a heart thing. Okay, I need to stop.